Good evening everyone and welcome back to Piccadilly Sidings. Now we are here to talk about the layout, and I will, but I just want to round up a few loose ends with regard to the 66. As you can see, I've got it running there. Absolutely beautiful. I'm so pleased with that purchase. It is a gorgeous machine. Detail is amazing, and well, you can see it running there, can't you? There have been one or two issues, and I know there's been a number of issues with regard to other people as well. Now, from my point of view, the axle boxes do tend to keep working loose. None of them have fallen out yet, but you know, that still could happen. And this particular locomotive should have a nameplate, and you may be able to make out as it comes around. It doesn't. Forgive me, it is a bit dark from this position. Please forgive me for that. But this locomotive has the name Sarah, and I bought that one because it's the name of my daughter. Now, Hattons have said, unfortunately, they weren't made in China, so they will get that sorted. They will get them made, and anybody who's bought this particular locomotive, they will send those out to you. But because of the coronavirus situation, it could take a while. And I said, what, months? I hope not, he said, but potentially it could. So they wanted me to let you know that. All right, so they will send them out. Now, I feel I am one of the lucky ones. As you can see, it's running absolutely beautifully. I cannot fault the way it's running. Some people are less fortunate, and some people have experienced a wobble. Some people have also experienced the axle boxes falling off. Some have had wonky nameplates. What else have I come across? Battery boxes falling off, headlight or lights not working, and the list goes on. But I have to say, Hatton service is amazing, and if you do have any issues with them, they've just said get in touch and they will sort it out for you. Anyway, that's enough on the 66. We're not here to talk about that. There has been some progress. So I'll take you back earlier in the week and we'll find out what's happened. Right, so where is this layout going to go? Now, if you remember the video I did maybe 6 weeks, a couple of months ago, I actually said it was going to go in this area here, all the way, well, probably to about there, up to those pipes. But I've been thinking about that, and it started to become less favourable because it meant I would have to move the settee out, and every time I sat down, it would inch back probably about 1 millimetre, and I would constantly be pulling the settee forward. And not only that, when I want to work on the layout, I've then got to sprawl all over the settee to get to it. So I started to think, actually, that's probably not going to be the best idea. So what I decided to do was have a bit of a clear out. I've got my exercise zone just there, if you like. But this area here is where it's going to go. So I had, you may or may not know, but I had some DVDs, Blu-ray shelves there. And the telephone table was just here. So that's all now gone. And that's all up there. So we've got the router and the telephone at the top there. So that's all out the way. This wire does look a little bit of a mess, I know, but at the end of the day, it's going to look an awful lot better like that than what it would do if they were all individual wires hanging down. So I feel I've made probably the best out of a bad job in there. But not only that, when the layout goes in front, it'll have to be slightly further away from the curtains because obviously I need to be able to shut them. Then the backboards or the back scenes will start to cover up some of this area here, and certainly this wire coming down that way. So you'll only see the vertical wire, and then I could soon get some of that like plastic sheathing. It's a bit like it looks like a large plastic spring, if you know the stuff I mean. I could soon get a bit of that, and then that would certainly hide a lot of it being white. So next stage then is to lay out the baseboards and see what I can do from that. Right, there it is. Now what I've done is I've just had 3 pieces, 4 4 foot wide, so that it's literally just sliced off the end of the sheet. So I've got 3 of those identical. Now the eagle eye would have noticed there is an overlap just there. The original idea of the layout was it was going to be 11 foot. Now that is pretty much a foot, pretty much. Now what I'm proposing, I'll put the plan up now so you can see. The majority of the layout plan that's going to go up this end will remain pretty much as it's on the sheet. Now, I'm hoping I've got the proportions right. This does look a lot narrower than that on the track plan, but you know, if it doesn't fit, then I'll just have to adapt it. But that section there will be the fiddle yard, but I'm thinking of having a traverser, which is going to come out sideways. So 1 or 2 tracks coming in, probably 1, and then load up 4 or 5, maybe even 6 tracks if I can get them on, and just slide them in as and when appropriate. And there was an idea on the Hornby magazine channel, so thanks to Richard for showing this, which had slide bolts. So as you slide it in, there was a slide bolt that just went into a slot, and then that would hold the track in the right place. So I think if I could do something like that, maybe get some small amounts of tube so that it's not stretching on the wood as the bolts go in, I think that would work really, really well, but that's a long way off. So my next stage then is to get the track out, lay it out, and see what we've got. Right, welcome back. So you can see now I've laid out the boards. This is where it's going to go, but obviously be up here somewhere. Now I'm laid out some of the track. Now you might be thinking, well, why have I laid out track when I actually haven't built the baseboards yet? The reason for that is because I wanted to find out whether the track plan that I've got going on there, that one which I'm sure you've seen by now, I wanted to see how it fitted, because this portion here, there is a bridge or viaduct, and I've got this kit which I won probably 2 years ago. Somebody was doing a competition and I luckily won that, and it's just been sitting on the shelf for this past year or so, with the idea that I would use it on this layout. So I want to open it up and see how wide each of these sections is going to be. So I shall make this next and then place it on, and then judge how much space I've got, whether I need to add to this and make it a bit longer using part of that, or whether I need to cut it back, or whatever. I really don't know. But looking at that at the moment, that does seem to match up with what I've got on here. Excuse the glare, because obviously you've got this portion the back seam coming across at an angle. Now, as I said, this part here is going to be a traverser. Now, if that's coming in at an angle there, it will have to curve round and become straight. Now, whether that's going to work exactly like that, I'm not entirely sure at the moment, because obviously I need, if the track there is at the back, the traverser has got to be, well, fairly narrow. To get that front track on, the board has got to come to about there, and then I'll probably only get about 4 tracks on as I arch it forward. I hope I'm making sense there. If I have a full width board, I won't be able to use the full width of that board because that track's in that position. And I don't really want to alter it too much because this track will need to come along a little bit more. Anyway, like I said, I'll get that built up now. I'm not going to sit down and show you that because it's just a Metcalfe kit. They're quite self-explanatory. When I finally get that far, I will sort of weather it up and put salt staining all over it and things like that. But Well, you won't believe it now. It's 9:30 at night. It's taken me probably about, well, 2 hours to build that so far. It's okay. There are some things I need to do with it. I mean, you might be able to make out, excuse my finger, in there. There's a seam where the two halves join together. I'm not happy with that at all. I'm going to have to skin that. So I'm going to have to source some more brick. And then also you've got the, I can't remember what the coins going up the sides here and around the top. That needs to be in relief. So I'm going to have to make all of those independently and stick them on independently. Some of you may even think about whether I should go to a textured plastic card on that. I'm not going to do that on this occasion, I don't think. But if I make that as relief as possible, then just to make it look a lot more realistic, it looks like a cardboard model there at the moment. So I might not do it straight away. I need to get the layout underway, and I'll just sort of position it, and I can just sort of take it out and put it back on again. I think would be the easiest way of dealing with that. Yeah, so anyway, on the actual layout itself, the baseboards, that is, you might notice I've got these lines on there now. There's another one just there. Obviously, that's going to represent the top of the board where it comes in, and then we'll have a big severe bank coming down on both sides. That's why it's back here at this end and not that end, because the bank needs to take it down. I'll have a think about that, but you can get an idea now if I come back of how this is going to look. Obviously that will be joined up there, and the station, one platform station, will be here. So a train can run in from the fiddle yard, which is obviously up here, and stop at the station, and then the loco can run off, run round the other way and come back round again. Or it will be a DMU, hence, or like the 158, which is just there behind the bike, just there. So obviously that won't need to turn around, but I could run that off the other side and just stop it there on the bridge, and then give it a minute and then run it back again. There you go. So you can see the baseboards are largely done. Just open the door there, so it's going into the passageway. Now, how did I do that? Well, I've basically got some 12mm plywood, and then I've got some 2x1 planed going along the outside edges, and then you've got this infill piece going down every now and again. All right. Each of those have got 2 holes in, which are 20mm in diameter. And the idea of that is to feed the bus wires through, so that it would be easier to keep it nice and neat and tidy, and I haven't got to have wires literally going all over the place. I do want this to be tidy underneath. So anyway, next bit. There are 2 areas. That at the end there will be one where the traverse is, and that will be in this area here. And this area down here, if I bring the camera across, so you get the idea of what that's going to kind of look like. So you've got this funneling of a river going in through, and it starts to widen out. So you're going under a mini viaduct. And the idea is, I've now got to measure down the height of this bridge and build a structure underneath. So again, I'll be using some 2x1 and attach it to these rails coming down. So I shall literally just screw each piece so they come down like that, and the same from the other side, and then put a cross member across that, on which that board will then sit, if that makes any sense. I'm sorry, the camera's sort of going off at funny angles. There you go. So you can see now that that lower section is now in. So what have I done? I've got these pieces coming down either side, and this cross member is going vertically to give it a little bit more structure. And there's the same at the back. And then I've just fixed the piece that I cut out from the top here down below. Now, looking at that opening here does look a little bit narrow. What I might do is cut this part back here to give the river the impression it's actually going across at an angle, and I can always build that down a massive bank that way. And I probably will chop that little bit off the top there. I don't want to cut back too much on this right hand side, because it will mean that the sidings that are going into that area will be shorter, and I think I'm going to need every millimetre I can get, I think. Secondly, you'll notice the bridge isn't sitting straight at the moment. The reason for that is I need to remove these end sections. Okay, I thought I'd just show you this before I went any further. I've now created the gap and I've widened the mouth, as I'll show you in a bit. But what I've decided to do is I put the bridge on the gap, and I want the track to go across at a slight angle, ever so slightly. It's only going to be about 3 or 4, 5 degrees, something like that, off true. And then, so I've just marked on at the bottom where that was, draw a vertical line, done the same in all the 4 corners, and then mark the line across at each of the different points. So I will get that cut and I'll show you what it looks like back at the layout in a minute. That's it. It's in. I know there's a few gaps there, but I'm really not that worried by those. The top surface will fill that, and then a nice coat of varnish. Like I said before, I'm not happy with the standard of the model kit yet. Obviously needs some more work inside the arches inside there, and I need to make these coins more raised as well. I'm really not happy with it at the moment, but I'll sort it out. And obviously the top surface and the railings and all the rest of it. But anyway, as I come back now, hopefully you'll get a flavour of how that area is going to look. I've opened that up a lot more now, so you can imagine the banks coming in, and that should give a nice feeling of airy, or an airy feeling if you like. I think it was a bit closed in before. Now I'll come back even further. There's no track here where the trucks are, but I thought I'll put the trucks there to give you an indication of what it's like. Coming back further. In fact, I'm on my knees at the moment, so please forgive me, I'll stand up. Forgive me if it's a bit shaky. But that's it so far. Okay, so it's not complete by any means. Going back the other way. And you can see this point here now ready to go onto the traverse or fiddle yard. All right, so anyway, you get a flavour of where we're going with this now. So in the next video, I'll show you what I do to put that traverse in and settle the track plan. It will be raised up. I've got some cube units I'm going to bring down to put it on, and so they'll be resting on that, and I'll obviously have to build some legs to go at that end, maybe to support this middle section here as well. But yeah, it's definitely coming along. Anyway, I hope you like that, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take care of yourself. Bye for now.